Okay, so today I would like to discuss the LEC as a whole, coming into the Super Week. This has been recorded on the Sunday just after Week 7. We've got a solid idea of what playoffs is going to look like and where the league stands as a whole. But I won't be just talking to a camera today. I have someone with me.
Oh, it's my turn now?
That's your cue.
Okay, hi, I'm Sien. I am an Origin fan, a Misfits fan, and also the Lions. I like a lot of things. Hello.
Hello. Right. So I think what we'll start with is if we look at the standings, which I have in front of me. I will try and edit them into the video so that people can see how they stand at the moment. But taking a look at the standings, we have Rogue and Mad tied for first, who are both locked for playoffs. And then G2 and SK, who are tied third. XL and Fnatic, who are tied fifth. Misfits, Origin, Vitality, who are tied 7th, and Schalke, who are 10th. Although no team is locked out of playoffs. I think that's the big thing here, is we are coming into the last week of the split, and no team is locked out of playoffs.
Yeah, it's pretty wild right now because everyone is really close to each other at the moment except for Matt and Rogue.
Who have absolutely stormed ahead. Like they could lose all three games next week, and at best they would tie with G2 and SK, who, if they win all three games, would tie for first with Rogue and Mad.
Yeah, it's pretty wild right now, but I do think that Matt and Rogue will just stay ahead because they are clearly the strongest teams at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. So if we start from the top and kind of go down, we'll discuss teams first and then kind of go on to the league state as a whole and go around that. So if we start with Mad, a team who before this year weren't known to a lot of Europe, who really only watched the LEC. They came in after having bought out Schalke, oh not Schalke, Splice. Schalke are still in it. They bought out Splice at the end of last season, kept on the mid laner Humanoid. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name because I'll butcher it.
Is Humanoid a hard name for you?
No, his actual name.
Oh, wait, is it called like Marek?
Marek, but I don't speak Czech, so I don't know how the accent's pronounced on his second name.
Yeah, the names are pretty hard.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave that one alone for a second. But they kept on, the only player they kept on was Humanoid. The players they dropped were Vizicachi, who went on to retire at the beginning of this season. Crap, who was their jungler? Xerxes, who went on to join... Oh, I didn't watch much Splice. Xerxes, who went on to join Origin this year. Kobe, who in spring went to TSM, and after a rough split, as I've spoken about before, moved to Misfits, which we will come on to a bit later. And Torre, who... was Norskeren, who has now moved over to, if I'm not mistaken, XL?
Yeah, he's now in XL Esports.
Yep. So, the Mad Lions roster now consists of Andre, Arome, Popa in the top lane.
Yeah.
Oh dear, I'm going to butcher this. Jikyung, Shadow, Zhao in jungle.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Way! Marek, Humanoid, not even going to try and pronounce it, in mid. Oh my fucking Christ.
Yeah, the Czech boys.
Macias, Karzi, Orsag?
Sorry, I don't know, I'm not Czech either.
If I had to guess, in bot, and Norman Kaiser, ironically enough.
Kaiser.
Yeah, his second name is Kaiser, as support. And as the standings show, Mad Lions have been doing very well in summer. I believe spring they placed... Where did they place in spring?
They were third.
They were third in spring and went off... No, they were fourth in the regular season.
Yeah, but then they beat G2, so they ended in the winner's bracket, and then they lost to G2 again to apparently miss out on the finals.
Yep. So they placed third overall in spring. this roster looks very, very solid from what I have seen, with every player really being a staple.
Yeah, it's like I find it so insane because 4 of them have never played in the LEC before, and they're just showing up,
Yeah,
and they just look like such a strong team that has been together for years already.
when in reality they were thrown together at the start of the season
Yeah,
without
yeah.
really much idea of any idea of each other at all. So for a roster of rookies to now be tied first in the second split they've played in is very, very good. Of course, Humanoid had that experience last year on Splice, and I don't believe. Well, Splice went to Worlds, but I think that was through the Gauntlet because they went through as third seed.
I was 2 play-ins, but then they still got to quarterfinals.
Yep, they got to quarterfinals and fell 3-1 to.
I think it was T1.
I think they played T1 because Fnatic were the ones to fall to FPX, I believe.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But from what little games I have seen of Mad, Arome really is kind of like their main front line.
He's just like the kind of the meat shield. Like,
Yeah.
He's probably their weakest link, but he does it very well. He's like the weak side top laner that is just very reliable, even if he gets dumpstered like against Origin.
Yeah.
Like he got dumpstered by Alfari, but he still showed up in the end. He always does that. And he's like, they call him the Kim Gun of
Yeah.
Mad Lions, and that's exactly his role. He's doing pretty good, I think.
I can definitely see that. He's a very talented top laner. I think playing weak side is never easy, especially when you're constantly on tank duty.
Yeah.
Shadow, I think, really has been the shining star for this roster. Shadow has just enabled this team to go wild.
Yeah, I agree. He's definitely like the rookie to watch.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, Razork, but I thought it should have went to Shadow.
See, for Spring,
Spring Razork was really good.
Yeah.
It was strong competition. All these rookies are just doing so well.
Exactly. A lot of people in EU see Shadow as a Lee Sin one trick. His mechanics on the champion are exceptional.
Yeah, he's the new Lee Sin king.
He has taken the crown from Broxo, who took the crown from Insec. We're looking at a very, very talented jungler here. I think he could go on to be one of the best European players. Although Leaguepedia has him down as not being European residentially.
I don't think that he is European. He has like
No.
he is of Chinese descent.
He.
But, I think he was born and raised in Italy.
Yep.
So he has
However,
Italian nationality, so he's a resident.
his residency lies in China. He would be classed as an import.
Oh really?
Yeah, his residency lies in China. He would be classed as an import, which is really surprising. I didn't think this roster had any imports.
Yeah, because on Gamepedia it just shows that he's Italian. Oh no, in China. Yeah, I don't know. It's unclear.
That's interesting. Humanoid, to me, is arguably the weakest link in this roster.
Yeah, he's not always the most reliable player, but when he shows up
big.
definitely shows up. Yeah.
If he's on a comfort pick, he can do extremely well. But that can be said for a lot of players. It's when you're in a pressure situation and you really kind of take that extra step forward and show up the expectations that you really come on the map. And I don't think Humanoid has done that this season, personally. Even last season, Humanoid felt a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah, it's always been like that with Humanoid. He's there and he's good, but like he can have his games that he really fails. Like in the very first game of the season when he played Mordekaiser.
Yeah.
He really didn't do well.
Not at all. Although something that is interesting to note is the only people who are contracted until 2022 are him and Arome. Who
I don't really know how the contracts work, but that's pretty weird.
Who apparently was with Splice in spring of last year.
Yeah, he was. Orome was the substitute at Worlds together with Sharp. So he was technically already with Splice before for the rebrand. Maybe it's because of that.
Possibly. That would
Farmers
make
like
sense.
players that have a longer contract.
Now Karzi. Karzi is an AD carry with mechanics that I can vouch for. He is a very mechanically skilled AD carry. He knows what to do and when to do it, and he has proven that in tandem with Kaiser, the support that really has shown just how strong he can be, they really do show up almost every game. It is a game where they are behind that you know things are going to go downward in a downward spiral for Mad Lions, because if Humanoid's not having a good game, and we know Arome plays weak side, and if Shadow's playing early game jungler, you really fall into a slump of, right, well, our carry's not ahead, and we have weak side and a mid laner who's on a utility pick. Where do we go from here? Which has been an issue. I think has been the issue in all of Mad Lions' losses this split.
Yeah.
Karzi,
They really rely on getting the bot lane ahead, I think.
which
They are very reliable, but when it doesn't work,
everything
don't
falls to
have many
tatters.
left.
It reminds me of 2017-2018 Misfits, where they relied on having Hansama ahead, otherwise things would fall to shit.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same case with one of the other teams.
They just execute on it very well, which is more than can be said for past Misfits teams, I must say.
Yeah, they are really good at getting early leads, but sometimes I have seen them throw it as well. Like one of the G2 games in Spring Split, they were like 7-0 in kills or something, and just winning the early game and just slandering G2, and then suddenly they fell apart and G2 was able to come back. And that is also a problem. They are very
Coin flip.
they are very vulnerable in the mid game, I think.
Yeah, I think that can be is arguably their weakest point of the game. They either close it out early or they scale for late. There is no in between with this team, which is something I can respect, but it actually brings me perfectly onto the next team in the league, Rogue.
Yeah.
Rogue are a team who play heavy scaling. They have been dubbed the mini origin.
The new origin, the better origin, maybe.
Yeah. So Rogue have really not changed much since last season, where their roster consisted of Finn, Inspired, Larson, Woolite, and Vander. And they found relative success. I think LEC 2019, they were 10th in spring, they were 5th in summer. Come summer playoffs, they pushed for 4th. They really did struggle to make that push. Sorry, I tell a lie. In spring, it was Prophet and Finn fighting for top lane. Kikis, Senkux, Hiku, Woodid, and Vander fighting for support.
Yeah.
And then come
Summer split, they had that.
summer, it was Prophet and Finn, Inspired, Larson, Woolite, and Hiku, and Vander. So they dropped Woodid, they dropped Senkux, and they dropped Kikis.
Yeah, it was a huge improvement.
And come summer
They had to play
playoffs,
against the players, but it was really needed.
yeah, and then come summer playoffs, they had dropped Prophet and Woolite. Or Prophet and Hiku, sorry.
Yeah, and now they dropped Moonlight for.
Yeah, they've come into this season only changing out Woolite in favor of ex-Misfits bot laner Steven Hansama Liv. So in regards to the roster, I think if I just run through it quickly, so top laner is Finn Wishdal. I think he's Swedish, so I'm not sure.
I actually don't know.
Casper Inspired Sloma. Emil Larsson, Steven Hansama Liv, and Oscar Vander Bogdan. So there is a lot to say about this roster, because
They're looking super strong.
every player can step up and carry.
I don't really agree with that.
Ow.
Finn isn't really the type to carry. He's kind of like more. I think he's more like Orome. Like the weak link of the
Mm,
team. I think.
you say that, but if we turn our attention to last year's spring and summer and this year's spring, when he was on the likes of the Aatrox, the Urgot, these more bruiser carry style champions, even playing weak side, he played immensely well.
Yeah, he's really good, but
I
this
it
this is
if
not a meta to
well no, but if the pressure does fall on him to carry, he can follow
he
through.
can do it. It just
Um,
doesn't happen.
Inspired, known for his Olaf, is a very very strong jungler who really doesn't necessarily have a weak side. He plays the map very well. He tracks the enemy jungler. He makes sure they can't do anything, and he will just play the map like a fiddle.
He's an intelligent player, and he is very good at just helping his players
Exactly.
and just shutting the enemy jungler down. And that reminds me of old Cersei actually. So maybe that's where the name of New Origin comes from.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, he's a very smart player. He's a very mechanically gifted player, and he knows what he needs to do when he needs to do it, which ultimately is the biggest part of being a jungler, is knowing where you need to be, when you need to be there, and what you need to do. That's the 3 points that junglers need to know: where, when, and what.
Junglers, I think that's one of the most crucial roles in
Yes,
esports.
especially in the current meta.
They have such a big role in the game.
Entirely. And actually, the 2v2 that he offers paired with Larson is scary, because Larson himself is a very good player, both mechanically and
He has a very good knowledge of the game.
yeah, his micro and his macro both live up to
Yeah.
what you would expect from a professional mid laner.
I do think that Larson is the best mid laner in the LEC at the moment, and I think that many people will agree with me.
Absolutely.
He's so strong, and even when Rogue do have a loss, Larson always shows up. He just I haven't seen a bad game from him yet, and yeah, in this splits, he's just performing really well, and he's an incredible player, and he should. I hope he gets more recognition for it.
Absolutely.
Larson love.
Absolutely. Larson is a very gifted player. He can play almost anything that he needs to, and he will show up on it. He will make sure that his side lanes have leads as well, and if he needs to play the side lane, he will play the side lane. There isn't really much you can fault this player on. I definitely agree with you. He's definitely the best mid laner the LEC has to offer right now, and that's saying something given how much talent really is in Europe.
He just I find him incredible. He's so intelligent and so mechanically strong. He just has everything that a mid laner has to have.
Absolutely. And Hans Sommer. I cannot say a word against Hans Sommer. For the past 3 years, he's been the only consistent player on Misfits, and he's taken that to Rogue now, and he's finally finding success. He is and always has been one of the most gifted AD carries the LEC has to offer, even when it was the ERCS, and he proved that in Worlds of 2017. He makes some questionable decisions now and then, but I can't fault him. He is a damn good player.
He's super strong, and he is very reliable, and he has been very reliable for a long time. He is a highly regarded player in LEC.
Absolutely, he is seen as one of the veterans at this point, and the LEC veterans are held in a high regard by other players for their skill. You don't stay in this league very long if you're not a damn good player, and he has been here. I think about as long, if not as long, as the likes of Perks.
Yeah, I don't know when Hansama started. Was it with Misfits?
He started with Misfits back in 2017 because they climbed from Challenger Series and it was their first year in the LEC. He debuted at the age of 16 with the Misfits. I think it was one of their team managers at the time, Crazy Caps, being his legal guardian, as he had to move from France to Berlin to train with the team. and he showed up that year. He proved to be a strong contender.
Still very young for being such a veteran already.
Absolutely, he's been in the league 4 years now. I think he's coming up to his. I think he just turned 21 recently, actually. But I really can't fault him as a player. I've always held him in quite a high regard as a player, because even when his teammates are doing bad, he never looks bad. He's much like Larson in that respect, but even when his team is losing, he's not so far behind that it's impossible to come back from.
He's just a very reliable player, and as AD carry, you have to be reliable. Of course,
Absolutely.
in this meta.
Absolutely. In a meta where AD carry really is a role where you either know how to survive or you're completely irrelevant, it's very important that players like Hans Sommer do step up, and paired with a support as skilled as Vander, who can play quite literally anything and still do well. He's proven to us. We have seen the Yuumi, the Set, the Rakan, the Thresh. We have seen everything from here to the moon and back from this player, and he is consistent. He plays very well. His decision making is insane, and he always makes sure that he can roam with Inspired when he needs to, or help Larson get a lead, or whatever.
I think Vander is a very important role in Rogue, because
he is the catalyst
than all the other players. The other players are still very young.
Yeah.
And Vander is like the babysitter, let's say. And he's super experienced. He's probably the best support in the league right now, together with Kaiser. And his champion pool is so wide, and he can do such incredible things with those champions that no one else can really do.
Yeah.
Like, I will never forget that Tarek ult in Summer Split last year. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The Sona TP.
Yeah.
And he put like I don't know how it's called, the ult, but he put like the ult on the Sona, saving the top laner.
Yeah.
It was so incredible. He's such a good player, and he really deserves to be in LEC even at this stage.
Absolutely. That amount of decision making and just core skill that is needed, and communication as well that is needed to truly pull off something like that is insane. And he really has lived up to the legacy he set for himself last year in this season. And as you rightly point out, he is the oldest of the roster. He sits at, I believe, 26. Whereas Hans Sommer is 21, Larson is 20, Inspired is 18, and Finn is 21.
He's only
17.
He's only 17.
Not quite, he's 18. 24th of January. But yeah, Rogue as a roster are very strong. They really have proven. Really.
They are very strong in LEC, but I don't know if they will be able to hold up in international.
Well, we'll find out, because everybody's been asking for this Rogue TSM battle. I believe that we may get it this year.
Why TSM out of all?
I don't. It's because TSM were doing shit and Rogue were doing shit, so they just kind of smashed them together. Because bear in mind, Rogue were quite low down in the standings in spring, and then climbed their way back up.
Oh yeah, right.
And if I quickly look at the matches we have already seen from Mad and Rogue quickly, Mad have a 2-0 record against Excel, a 1-0 record against Shulker, a 2-0 record against Fnatic, a 1-1 record with G2. They have nothing. They only have a loss against Misfits. It's the only team they are yet to beat. They are 2-0 against Origin, 1-0 against Rogue, 1-1 against SK, and 1-1 against Vitality. So next, in the Super Week, we expect to see Mad play against Misfits, Rogue, and Shulker. I believe Misfits Rogue, or Misfits Mad Lions is the very last match for both teams.
Oh, that could be a spicy one, because the first match was with the Fiddlesticks.
Yeah.
And it was just such a surprise to see the Fiddlesticks. So I wonder what's going to happen this time, because if Misfits don't have that surprise factor, I don't think they can win.
That also means that Misfits have a very difficult week next week, which we'll come on to a little bit later. As for Rogue, they are 2-0 against Excel, 2-0 against Schalke, so they hold a better record against Schalke right now because Mad Lions are yet to play them. They're 2-0 against Fnatic. They are 0-2 versus G2. So they haven't beaten G2. They're 0-1 against Mad. They're 2-0 against Misfits, 1-0 against Origin, 1-1 against SK, and 1-0 against Vitality. So their matches next week are Vitality, Origin, and Mad Lions.
I think this is an easier schedule because
Absolutely.
has been looking very strong, and Misfits Mad Lions haven't beaten Misfits yet, so who knows what they're.
The only team they haven't beaten is Misfits, which is a big thing if you think about it for a team so skilled. Especially given the struggles Misfits have found in recent weeks. Again, something we'll come on to a little bit later. But for right now, I want to turn our attention to G2 Esports.
They're just, I don't know what they are doing. Are they good? Are they bad?
Yeah.
They just do something different every game. Sometimes it's like
Yeah.
the good G2 that shows up. Sometimes it's like, what the fuck are they doing? Like it's just craps and claps, but the whole team. I find them very confusing. I really don't know how they are going to end in the playoffs.
I'm unsure.
I expect them to get in.
Yeah, it's kind of expected of a G2 roster, especially consisting of the exact same roster they had last year. Granted, in spring, which they still went on to win, they had Caps and Perks row swap again, so Caps was the AD carry and Perks was the mid laner. That has since been rectified, so the roster as it currently stands is Martin, Wonder, Hansen in the top lane, Marcin, Jankowski in the jungle, Rasmus, Caps, Winther in mid, Luka, Perks, Prokovic in AD carry, and Mikhail, Michli in support, with Christopher, Pinoy, Pedersen subbing AD carry, who has had to be subbed in once during this split due to personal reasons with Perks, having had his dad just pass. He wanted to spend some time with his family mourning the loss of his father. But this roster in the past few weeks has definitely been a roster that has had heads turning left, right, and center.
They have been showing up again. Like they started looking not so good. They were running it down in some games.
Absolutely.
And I feel like they are finally getting their shit together and finding their footing and returning to their old form, which is scary because if they are back to their old form by the time playoffs come, it could just be another G2 championship.
Yeah.
And that's boring.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does. Just kind of get yawn after a while.
Yeah. I'm rooting for Mad Lions to win.
I have a feeling.
Somewhat different.
Yeah, of course. I have a feeling that a lot of their struggles were from Perks' mind not being fully there.
Yeah, it was really unlucky. And
it was very unfortunate, and I do feel for him. To come back to work so quickly is a big thing.
Yeah, it was like just a few days before LEC started.
Yeah.
Before like a week, and it's such a hard thing to go through.
Absolutely.
Especially when you have to get your mind off of it and practice.
Yeah.
And also with the lockdown and stuff, it's just very hard. I don't know if he was able to go to the funeral or anything, but if they miss practice at the beginning of the split, then it's very important.
Very harmful, indeed.
But it's good to see them stepping up again. Perks has been playing well. The whole roster has been back to their good form. Wonder has been playing much better than before.
Yep, I definitely think if you had to pick out a weak link in this roster, it would be Wonder.
Which is weird, because back when I saw G2 for the first time, which was Worlds 2018, Wonder was like the best player. He was like the the carry. He was like the Camille and the Urgot. He was just carrying every single game.
Absolutely.
And I hope that Wonder returns someday because he's my favorite player on the roster.
I think a big question mark around Wonder is he starting to either burn out or wash up? Because this season he has been put into playing weak side, and he's not been doing it great. He has got solo death after solo death after solo death, even in some of that. Excuse me. Even in some of their wins, he has solo deaths.
I just think that he's not a good weak side player, unlike Orome and people like Finn.
But that's where the problem lies, because you have a bot side carry in Perks and Caps.
Yeah, Wonder is like I think he feels way more confident in like the carry picks and
Yeah.
the side lane picks that will just push until you have to respond, and they will just push for the nexus and push.
Absolutely.
Carry and kill everyone. He's more of a carry player, which isn't good because top lane carrying isn't in the meta right now.
No, it is very rare to see a top laner carry unless they're a tank that just soaks up the damage and can dish out the same amount as some champions. Well, yeah, Malphite. No, that's Alfari. That's Alfari. Especially when Yankos, who I'd like to move on to next, is honestly probably one of the most skilled junglers we have in the LEC.
Definitely.
Very good player at anything he's put on. He can play to his strong side extremely well. Great objective focus. Although he's not amazing at controlling the game, focusing on, putting the enemy jungler out of the game, which is, I think, where he falls behind the likes of Xerxes and Shadow.
Yeah, he's not like the intelligent style of player, but he's more like, I think he's more like the one that prefers to just fight.
The mechanical type of player.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's not like the most macro kind of player. He's more like
Micro.
getting advantages just by
Yeah.
killing people.
Absolutely. And that can harm this roster. Especially if you think that a lot of their losses have come from just trying to force fight after fight after fight and losing control of objectives over it. But I think that is where Caps picks up the slack. Caps is the best mid laner the LEC has ever seen. I think it's pretty safe to say that. Maybe Febvin in his prime would be better. But in recent years, Caps is the best mid laner that the LEC has ever seen. That's undoubtable. He's a very skillful player. Granted, he's also a very coin flip player. You get claps or you get craps.
Yeah. He's definitely... I don't think he's the best at the moment.
Absolutely not.
But he's a really good player who tends to also be very good at utility.
Yeah.
Like he will just roam everywhere and help the other laners.
Yeah.
To get advantages when Jankos can't do it. But I do think that they have to focus more on Caps instead of Caps focusing on the others.
Yeah.
He's really good. He's really strong, and they should really get him ahead instead of letting him get behind.
Well, that really does depend on the pick he's on, because more recently he's been on the likes of the Twisted Fate, the Orianna, who really doesn't mind being even in lane.
But like, if he needs to get ahead, they should focus on him.
Absolutely. For the likes of things like the LeBlanc or Kiana, or most of these carry mid laners. But that shepherds us on to Perks really, really nicely, actually, because Perks is the player he enables 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Perks, having just made the switch last season from mid lane to AD carry, has consistently shown up. He's done extremely well. Don't mind, excuse the dogs. For some reason, she's going nuts. Yeah, Perks has consistently shown up for the past 2 years,
Yeah, Perks is incredible.
which
And also,
nobody expected. I mean, the switch from mid lane to AD carry is a big one. The mechanics are so different.
yeah, how I still can't believe how good he was as AD carry. And you can argue he was already playing some AD carries in the mid lane, like a Kai'Sa
Lucian.
beforehand. But he just really knows how to play AD carry,
Yeah,
both in a conventional and unconventional ways, and that is a big thing
he
in
has definitely
late metas.
transitioned well.
He's so, I don't know how to say it. He's just really good.
Yeah. Which takes us on to Mickey. Mickey is a catalyst, basically. It's all he's there for. He's to be a catalyst. He's to make sure that Perks and Caps get ahead. But he does it very well, which is a nice change since in 2018, I believe it was, when he was paired up with Hans Summer on Misfits, he really didn't show us much at all. Alongside Senkux, he was seen as quite a weak player in that roster that consisted of Alfari, Maxlor, Senkux, Hans Summer, and Mickey. Because Hans Summer, Maxlor, and Alfari, who had all been with Misfits for a while, were revered as really good players, actually. Even if Maxwell was a bit shaky at times, Hans Summer and Alfari were rocks. But
Yeah,
you could even see it back then, in the games they were losing, it was Senkux and Mickey that were really just making plays that didn't make sense.
yeah. Mickey, he isn't always the best player. It is even in the G2 times.
Yeah.
There were times that he just would not do anything good in games.
He is a player much like Hylissang.
He used to be very coin flip like Hylissang, but I think this Hylissang is still very coin flip. But I think that
Mickey's stable now.
improving a lot. He's becoming way more reliable.
Yeah.
And
He's
that's very important for G2.
he started to stagnate a bit, which is nice because that's what you want. You want consistency.
Yeah.
As a whole, this G2 roster is doing very good. I'll be very surprised if we don't see them at Worlds, but I'm not expecting miracles because they're third. But if we look at what they've done so far, they are 0-1 against XL this split, 1-1 against Schalke, 2-0 against Fnatic, 1-1 against Mad, 1-0 against Misfits, 0-2 against Origin, 2-0 against Rogue, 0-1 against SK, and 1-1 against Vitality. So they are to play XL, Misfits, and SK next week.
It's quite an unpredictable week because all three of those teams are like, are they going to be good or not?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, so's G2. It's like all four of the teams involved in their matches next week are very right. We'll have to see how they play on the day. I don't think it is very easy to predict something like that at all.
G2 is really weird with the standings because they're like 2-0 against Rogue, but then 0-2 against Origin, who are doing very badly right now. But
Yeah.
in both of those Origin games, G2 just didn't do anything, and I think that is an issue that sometimes they just have games that they just run it down, and
Yeah.
they can't really recover from that, and that is causing them losses.
Absolutely.
And that is also, I think that's going to cost them to not be in the finals. They'll be in
Yeah.
playoffs, but I don't think they're going to make finals.
I don't see it happening. So if we quickly shepherd on to the team they are tied with, who they are to play next week, SK Gaming.
Okay.
Now, SK joined the LEC last year with the roster of, bear with me because they have had a lot of players leave because they're such an old org. So LEC 2019 spring, they came in with Whirlib, Selfmade, Pyrian, Crownshot, and Dreams, which is what they stuck with throughout all of 2019. They placed 5th, 6th, and 7th.
They did have Sakurai instead of Whirling.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, my bad. Warlib left at the end of spring and was replaced by Sakura. Janax came on as a sub.
Yeah, and he started playing like near the end of summer.
Yeah.
I think.
However, they didn't place very impressively at all. They came fifth, sixth in playoffs. They were sixth in the regular season for spring, and they were seventh in summer.
Yeah, they were like just middle of the pack, pretty impressive
Yeah.
team.
And then LEC 2020 spring was a very, very bad split for them. With a roster consisting of Sakura, Ventaire for top lane, Trick for jungle, Janax for mid, Crown Shot, AD Carry, and Limit support after having lost Dreams to Schalke Nulfier and having lost, well, I guess self-made to Fnatic. They've come into the summer split with a slightly different roster. They dropped Sakura. Ventaire was dropped end of last season. But they dropped Sakura and did a bit of an interesting role swap. So Janax Bartels, who was the mid laner during spring, was shifted to top lane. Which was a move that not many people had anticipated. In the jungle, they have Korean resident Gang Yun Trick Kim. Mid lane, to replace Janax, they brought in Dirk Zazie Malner. AD carry is Juice Crown Shot Marswich. That was butchered. He's Croatian, I think.
Yeah, it's a very hard name.
No, he's Slovenian.
It's a very weird name.
Yeah, and then support, they have Dino Limit Tot.
Is he called Dino?
Yes, his name is Dino.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
I love that. So the role swap for Janax really, it surprised everybody, I think.
I wasn't too surprised because even back when he played mid lane, he was like the more beefy mid laner. I think I do remember him playing Aatrox mid. I think.
Well, yeah, bearing in mind every mid laner had played the likes of Ornn and Aatrox to conform to the meta. But Janax moving to top, I didn't think it would go that well. I thought no, mid lane to AD carry is one thing. Mid lane to top lane is a whole other thing. You suddenly go from being a playmaker and playing strong side all the time to playing weak side almost every game. But he came into this split all guns blazing. He was swinging and slashing left, right, and center, and he was solo killing everybody top lane. It is the basic way to put it.
Yeah, I really do think that he has found his thing in top lane. Like in mid lane, he was just meh.
Yeah.
Top lane, he's showing up. I think it fits him much better.
He has definitely become a focal point for this team. Plays weak side. He solo kills the laner. He gets leads everywhere else. Trick does a very good job at enabling strong side. And his objective control is very good. We have seen multiple steals from Trick that have ended in game wins.
Trick isn't always the most reliable jungler.
Absolutely not.
Sometimes he makes questionable decisions like going in needlessly and just dying, which may cost him objectives. But overall, I think he is improving again because he was considered one of the worst junglers last year on Schalke.
Yeah. Trick really didn't have a good year last year. He'd just come back into the LEC, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think I don't know, he used to be on G2.
Let's have a look. Yeah, he was with G2 for a while. He was with... Yeah.
To Korea for a bit.
End of 2017, he went to Barbecue Oliver's along with Ignar at the end of the middle of the 2017 season to the end of the beginning of the 2017 season. end of the 2017 season to the beginning of the 2018 season.
It was in Turkey for a bit, but then he came to.
Yeah, from
For summer split.
December 2018 through February 2019, he was with Galacticos, and then came to Schalke, and then on to SK. So he's been around. He's been at the LEC for a bit, 2 years, but he came back. He really didn't have a great success with Schalke last year, and I think spring split, he was very coin flip.
Yeah, he's still kind of pointed, but he's back. He's getting back to his old.
Yeah, I think in this split specifically, we are seeing a side to Trick that we didn't think we'd ever see again. He's got some of his consistency back. He's making plays across the map. He's making sure that his carries are ahead. And overall, I don't think you can really fault the guy.
Much better than I expected. The whole team is doing. It's like the biggest surprise of the split after last split's really
Yeah.
bad performance. Something just. It feels like something has clicked, and now they're actually showing what they can do.
Entirely. As for Zazie, I actually never really knew much of Zazie prior to this split, actually. It's his first time pro, it looks like. No, tell a lie, he started in 2017 with Tribunal Esports, then went to Attempting to Reconnect, then KIYF Esports Club, then War Germany, Euronics Gaming, back to KIYF for a bit, on Big for a little bit, and then came to SK in May of this year. He's been there at 2 months and 6 days so far, which is actually a lot longer than he's been anywhere else. Looking at it, the longest time he's been anywhere was with Big for 1 year and 4 months.
Yeah. He's been jumping up around regional leagues.
Yeah, and he's finally made the push into LEC, and I can't see anything other than he has shown up as like a utility carry player.
He's very solid.
His Corki, his Oriana. Yeah. He is. I think he is the missing link that this team needed to actually show up.
Yeah, they needed just a reliable solo laner that can take over when needed. Like usually it's ground shot who carries, but sometimes he just can't carry, and then Zazie can just show up and be the carry. And he does that very well. I think he's definitely a very solid player.
Yeah.
For his first split, he's doing very well.
I mean, hell, just look at the game against Misfits last week. He was really the only player on that team playing consistently. I mean, Crowny was he was getting himself caught and was lucky he was playing such a safe lane.
Yeah, still got caught a lot, even if he was in rebuild, because Kobe was playing Kaisa.
Absolutely. And Janax really didn't have a fun lane either. I mean, what was it? Yeah. Janax on the Ornn? Or not the Ornn, the Scion? He just couldn't get much done.
Yeah, against Dandan's Gangplank.
Yeah.
Like, the Gangplank was MVP of the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It wasn't a huge game for Janax, but Zazie was really a fit.
Zazie really showed up. I mean, the first play of the game, he somehow managed to turn from a 2v1 into a solo kill under his own turret. Granted, it might be down to Denik inting a bit, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, but Denik was playing the set, so then you have...
It was Denik's first game back. We had to see the int somewhere.
Yeah.
And Crownshot. Crownshot really is the carry of this team. Crownshot is the best player on this roster.
It's the Crowny show, just like
yes.
Last season. But last split, it was really only the Crowny show. But now it feels like he has a team around him.
Yeah, he definitely feels like there is a team, a sense of cohesion there for the whole team.
It's find a carry while the rest has given up or something. Now SK finally feels like a team, a reliable team.
Yeah.
Have 5 decent players.
Absolutely. As for Limit, well, I haven't seen much of SK's games, so going based on what I do know, Limit is a very consistent player, he's a very aggressive player, and it fits Crown Shot perfectly.
Limit wasn't the best player in spring, but I feel like he has found his way, like his Thresh,
Yeah.
and like other playmaker champions, and also the Yumi. He's really good at those champions.
The peel type champions.
He's a very good peel support playmaker.
Yeah.
He makes things happen.
Absolutely. And SK currently sit at, where are they? Here they are. 0-2 against XL, 2-0 against Shulker, 0-1 against Fnatic, 1-0 against G2, 1-1 against Mad, 1-1 against Misfits, 1-0 against Origin, 1-1 against Rogue, and 1-1 against Vitality. Arguably, this team have the hardest week next week with Fnatic, G2, and Origin.
The hardest, yeah, that is one of the hardest on paper because they used to be
absolutely.
Like, but like Origin, it's sad to say, but they're on a massive loss.
Yeah.
They are 1-0 against G2 and 0, 0-1 against Fnatic, but I have noticed that they have quite a lot of 1-1s. Like they can just randomly show up and beat the top teams like Mad Lions and Rogue. They have beaten both of them once. They're just like, sometimes they are suddenly like the Kingslayer, and other times they just get beaten by the weaker teams.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're not really weak anymore, but in the beginning they were at the bottom too.
Absolutely, and that actually perfectly takes us on to Excel, which is the next team in standings. So, Excel came into the league last spring. They didn't do great in spring with Expect, Cadril, Exile, Special, Jaskla, Kasing, and Mystiques. Placed 9th. And in summer with Expect, Cadril, Special, Mickey, Hjarnan, Jaskla, Kasing, and Mystiques placed 10th. They came last. And then in the NeoSurf Cup, running a 10-man roster, which was a best of 5 against Misfits to show these new rosters off, with Sendu, Expect, Taxa, Cadril, Mickey, Special, Patrick, Deadly, Torre, and Kasing. They did triumph 3-2 in the best of 5. Coming into spring, the starting roster was Expect, Cadril, Mickey, Patrick, and Torre. Very strong on paper, looked like a very promising team, and then shit out and placed 7th.
Yeah.
And have since made changes to their roster. They dropped Expect and they dropped Mickey, which came as a relatively big surprise, but an expected one to a lot of European fans and the casters as well. So,
I think everyone was pretty
yeah. Everyone was expecting it, but I don't think anybody actually believed they would do it. So that was kind of the surprise. So the roster now consists of Felix, Kreis, Hellstrom in top, Mark, Robert, Cadril, Lamont in jungle. That is the most British name I've ever read. He's Mark Dick Lamont. Wait, no. Dick is Richard. Mark Rob Lamont. Joran. Is it Joran? Horan? Horan's.
Joran Giffer. I am a Dutch speaker. So.
Okay. I was gonna say, I'll let you do that one then.
Joran Special Scheffer.
Who, some people may know, and this is a bit of trivia because I'm a nerd, did play for Misfits shortly, I believe in the 2017 season, before they actually hit the LEC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I know he used to be on Misfits. That's why in his game against them, when he executed a turret, he pinged the emote.
Yeah, he was a substitute.
When was that? Hang on a minute. When was it? Because I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. In Misfits, Misfits Academy, he was the main mid in the 2018 season. He was then sub for summer, and then during off season, he was with Misfits Academy, which is apparently a disbanded team. Who would have known? No, it's not. They just changed to Misfits Premier.
Yeah. And then he went to Excel's
Yep.
second team.
No, he went to their main team, and then XL UK, and then BTXL, and then XL Esports again. Something that
he did play a bit for Excel.
Yeah.
Last summer. He played like the first week, I think, because I don't know. Nikki was coming, but I don't know.
yeah, something like
I
that.
don't know what happened, but he did play the first week.
And then AD carry is Patrick Giroux.
Oh, the legend.
And support is Torre, Joel, Torre. Let me get closer because I can't actually read this. Elertson. So Torre, or better known as Norskerin, as he's been known professionally for a while now. But let's start at the top of the roster again. Cries. I didn't know much about Cries at all. Coming into this this split. I kind of thought, right, it's XL. It's probably a mediocre player. I'm not expecting much, but oh my god, this player is a catalyst for XL.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
really know what to think of him because sometimes he just falls flat. But
Yeah.
Other times he's like, hi, I'm here and I'm going to carry this fucking game.
Yeah.
He can suddenly show up and do stuff and make Excel win the game. He's a very surprising player, I think.
He is a very surprising player. I wasn't expecting anything close to what we've seen from him.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised. I think he is some young talent who has a lot of room for growth. I mean, he's what? He's 21.
Yeah, he's like the same age as Hansama.
And he has a lot of potential to unlock. I think if a better team picked him up, he would have a lot more room to move.
Yeah, he has lots of potential, and also what stands out for me is his champion pool. It
Yes.
seems like he can just play anything. He plays some really weird picks, and he just like the Braga stuff that was
And-
really weird. That didn't really work, but just having such a big champion pool is a good thing.
We talk about Nuke Duck having a champion Ocean. I think Cries comes close.
Yeah, maybe not yet because he's new.
Yeah.
Like, he can definitely develop a big champion Ocean.
Absolutely. And Kadril, by far the best player on this roster.
Actually, he's very good, but I think the star of XL is really Patrick.
See, I have a very mixed view on this because I think Patrick is revered as the best player on this roster because he's the one that carries the games.
Yeah.
Nobody really considers the fact that Kadril really is the big catalyst for XL that gets things moving, that gets the leads, and even if he doesn't really have an active early game, he will always show up in later game team fights and make the right decision and make sure his carries are safe.
I really like Kendall as a player. He's just really solid.
Ding dong.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine. Comedic relief.
Sounds like right at my wall, so I find that the spot where it sounds about. But Kendall is really underrated, I think.
Absolutely.
He isn't really visible, but he does so much for the team.
Entirely. Can I, on a side note, what is it with UK junglers and being absolutely amazing at it? Because the two that I can think of off the top of my head being Maxlaw and Kadril.
Yeah, I haven't really heard of the others, but Gabriel, yeah, Maxlaw used to be really strong as well, and
Absolutely.
I think he's getting better. But
I haven't been keeping up with his games. I'm gonna be honest.
yeah, he's back in a regional team now, and
Yep.
I heard that he is performing pretty well, but
Good.
I don't know if he's going to return to
I don't know. We'll have to see. But special. Special, to me, is a utility player entirely. I don't think he has it in him to carry.
Yeah, he's like the one. He's kind of. He reminds me a bit of Fly in the LCK. The kind of the mid laner that's just meant to be there and get the other laners ahead and just
Very.
roam. Yeah, special. He's definitely not the carry of Excel. He's definitely not the best player either. But I think he's decent. He has been improving throughout the split, and
Absolutely.
he's like the utility player. I think.
Which isn't a bad thing.
No, like they're. He really reminds me of Fly of Africa Freaks.
Yeah.
Africa Freaks has like two big carries on the team, Keen and Mystic. And Fly is there to enable them, but he
Yeah.
can show up when it's needed, and I think Special has the potential to do that as well. He can really
Absolutely.
show up, but he needs a specific champion for that,
Yeah.
and he needs to be ready.
And we are yet to see that.
I do hope he gets to show up.
So do I, because he is a damn good player.
Yeah, he can be really good. And he didn't really have a good start of the split, but everyone of Excel didn't really have a good start. But I can understand with the new solo laners.
Yeah. However,
You have to adjust. To
exactly.
the
However,
dynamic.
he does enable Patrick a lot, and Patrick, as we've said, is the main carry of this team.
Patrick is like the big boy. Well, he isn't really big because he's not a tall player, but he's the big boy on Rift. The
Absolutely.
one that has to carry for Excel.
You know, I was saying earlier how he is the one that usually carries the games, and he does it very well. I haven't seen many XL games, and when Patrick was on, what was it, Origin last year?
He was Origin.
I wasn't impressed.
He was like, he has been here for, yeah, people often see him as a rookie, but he was already on H2K before Origin, so he isn't really a rookie anymore.
Yeah, but
he's still growing. He's a growing young player,
yeah,
and he's showing lots of potential.
yes.
I've been saying it since last year when he was on Origin. This guy has the potential to become the #1 ADC.
This
LEC.
this split specifically, he's impressed me. But as I say, last year I really wasn't impressed by much at all.
I see him play a lot because I am Origin fan.
Yeah.
I saw him a lot, and I was a fan of him. I am still a fan of him, and he has shown some incredible things. He's very bold.
Yeah,
He's not like the AD carry that just sits back. He's like the in your face AD carry.
he's not afraid to step up and make a play if he has to.
Yeah, and it doesn't always work, but when it works, it's incredible to watch. He's such a flashy player.
Which reminds me of Kobe when he was on Splice last year.
Yeah,
I think he really is just a mini Kobe.
yeah, he's like the young Kobe. But
The younger, slightly less, I want to say slightly less skillful,
yeah,
because
but
he's
I
not got the
think,
experience behind him.
Also, a bit more risky. Like,
Yeah. But that comes with experience of, right, what are my limits? How far can I go before I int?
that's maybe the part where he can still grow on.
Yeah.
Knowing what the limits are of what he can and what his champions can do.
Yeah.
But he's really in this alt heavy meta with such strong AD carries. He's
Yeah.
really showing up, and I'm very happy because I knew since last year that he is an incredible player.
As for Torre, I've always thought Torre is a very consistent player. He can
Yeah.
peel very well. He can also engage. There isn't really much more to say about him. He enables his team. He enables his AD carry, and that's what he's there for.
Yeah, he isn't really the flashy kind of sport. I think I haven't really paid attention.
Absolutely not. I mean, he's the kind of support who is happy to bite the bullet. He's not the kind of person who wants to look flashy, who wants to be the reason the team wins. If he doesn't do anything, fine. He's happy with that. He won, which is admirable.
He's there to enable Patrick. And
exactly.
Help him out and maybe save him in
which was
risky situations.
which
he does the job very well.
Which, ironically enough, was his job on Splice last year when he played with Kobe. So again, we're just feeding into this idea that Patrick really is just being trained up to be the younger version of Kobe.
Yeah. Tori really fits well with such kind of flashy AD carry because he himself isn't the most flashy guy.
XL.
They fit well together.
Yeah, absolutely. So XL as a whole right now are 1-1 with Schalke, 0-1 with Fnatic, 1-0 with G2, 0-2 with Mad, 1-1 with Misfits, 0-1 with Origin, 0-2 with Rogue, 2-0 with SK, and 2-0 with Vitality. So again, arguably on paper, the hardest matchup with Fnatic, G2, and Origin.
XL and SK have the same opponents in the last week.
Yeah, that's because it's 3 days, so there's 9 different iterations and not 2.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
Fucking hell. Yeah, permutations get very confusing.
I do think that XL will do well this week because they have been growing. They didn't really start well.
Yeah.
They were like second to last. They have been growing ever since. Every week they seem to get better, and they are starting to show up. And I think they might go 0-3, but they also might go 3-0.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to see what they can do this week and if they are going to end up in playoffs or not.
Absolutely.
I do think they deserve playoffs at this point.
Yeah.
It would be very nice to see them, but again, as Misfits and Origin, it isn't the most fun thing to say, but I do think XL deserve to get into playoffs, just like SK.
Yeah.
It's quite hard to fit 6 teams into the playoffs while everyone is so close together.
Yeah, I have an idea for playoffs that I'll get onto a little bit later. But onto the next team in the list, who are currently tied with XL, Fnatic. Now, Fnatic have been in the league since Season 1. They are Season 1 Worlds winners, and they have played in tournaments consistently since Season 1. Now, last season, Fnatic had a pretty underwhelming performance at Worlds, falling in the quarterfinals to, as we discussed earlier, if I'm not mistaken, it was FunPlus Phoenix, who went on to win the entire thing, going 3-0 against G2 in the finals. However, in between last season's pretty crappy run and this season, they dropped their jungler Broxa, who moved to Team Liquid, and picked up ex-SK player Selfmade. Selfmade is a very, very scary player. But
he was the star of SK before. Yeah, he was like the one good player. I think he won Rookie of the Split too.
I think so. But looking at the past couple of years, Fnatic, they 3-1 Schalke in 2018 summer playoffs. They went down 3-0 in finals against IG at Worlds. They came third in the LEC regular season, spring of last year. They came third in playoffs of 2019 spring, going 3-1 to 1-3 to Origin. They came second in the 2019 summer split, regular season. They came second in the summer playoffs, falling 2-3 to G2. And in the regional finals for the LEC last year, they took second seed from Splice, going 3-0 in a best of 5. And then had a relatively underwhelming run at Worlds, coming 5th to 8th, falling 1-3 to FunPlus Phoenix. Now, this season's spring, as expected, Fnatic were second in the regular season and second after playoffs, falling 3-0 to G2. And they've come into summer split with the exact same roster of Gabriel, Bwipo Ro, Oscar Selfmade Bodorek, Tim Nemesis Lipovzek, Martin Reckless Larson, and I'm going to assume the Z's silent, so it might be Zdravets Ilyev Hilisang Galabov. It might be Dravets Ilyev Hilisang Galabov. Who fucking knows? Because I sure don't. So let's work our way down the roster again. Bwipo.
He's the only player in the LEC of my country at the moment.
Is he?
Yeah, I think he's the only Belgian player. And I am also Belgian. Well, there's Niski in NA.
Wow. Yeah, but Niski's in NA. Niski abandoned us last year.
But I feel like I should be proud of him, but I am not. I am not.
It's NA. You can't be proud of NA.
Yeah, but I am not a fan of Bwipo. My brother is a big fan of Bwipo.
Bwipo.
His favorite player, but like.
Bwipo is baby Soaz.
Yeah, I bet he's also going to complain like Soaz.
That's absolutely. Yeah, Bwipo is baby Soaz. He solo dies. He solo dies. Sure, he can do well. He can be a catalyst for his team, and he can frontline very well. But the solo deaths just don't make it worth it.
Yeah, I think there was like a ranking of amount of solo deaths, and Bwipo was like head and shoulders.
Bwipo is the head, shoulders, and fucking breast of that.
And then there was Hilisang also.
Yeah, who played the majority of the torso.
It's just, and the Bwipo is just, I don't get him as a player. He's such a high risk player with such weird.
When you play a weak side, isolated deaths mean you are gaining nothing.
Yeah, he's like.
If I'm not mistaken, it's something like 80% of his deaths are isolated deaths or something. It's something stupid like that. But that's where Selfmade picks up the slack. Selfmade is a damn good jungler. He's a very big catalyst for this roster, allowing Nemesis and Reckless to pop off and pop off and pop off. And even if he doesn't let them pop off, he pops off himself. Destiny!
Yeah, but going back to Bwipo, he's just not really a reliable player.
Absolutely not.
When he pops off, he's really strong.
Absolutely.
He doesn't pop off enough.
Yeah.
Like, people still call him the best top laner.
No.
You really disagree.
I disagree hard.
He's not reliable enough to be the best top laner. I don't even think he is top 5 at the moment.
Nope. No.
Peak Bwipo is super strong, but where is peak Bwipo? We don't see him.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be entirely honest here. I think, given his isolated deaths, he might actually be bottom 2 top laners in the league.
Yeah, that is true. That might be true. The top laners have been all very good at weak side.
Exactly. Every player we've discussed so far, we've had good things to say about them. Bwipo, we have mainly negative things, and that says something.
Yeah, that is Bwipo is. I don't think he should be on such a top team. That's a very unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
He's just not reliable enough. He can still grow, but he should grow to become more reliable, and then maybe
Absolutely.
his weird picks and his weird playstyle will work and be beneficial. But at the moment, it just brings Fnatic down.
But that's where I think picking up Selfmade, which actually taxis us onto Selfmade very well. I think that's why picking up Selfmade actually was a very good decision by Fnatic. He showed up last season. Even he looked very good in some of SK's losses, and he looked even better in their wins. He is a very consistent, very strong player. Ultimately, and he makes a lot of what Fnatic tried to do possible. Arguably, it's reckless, but even like I personally don't think it's reckless. But I will get what is it? Hung, drawn, and quartered. Is it hung, drawn, and quartered? There's a saying that goes something like that. But if I say it, if I start slandering reckless, I will be hung, drawn, and quartered in front of the entire LEC fans, entire LEC fan base.
Reckless, and he's really good, but like I feel like reckless can't really be the best when Selfmade isn't there to enable him and help him out.
No, reckless can't be the best if we've got Hillian. We'll just go with that. If we got Hillian, then reckless is fucked. I think without because Broxah never really focused much around reckless to begin with. He was more around his mid laner.
He was like, but back then it was Caps and then Nemesis, like, and they were really good mid laners.
Exactly. Reckless.
They're like playing mages.
Reckless is a very, very self-sufficient AD carry. I'm very happy to say that he is a strong player. But back to Selfmade. I think Selfmade has come into this roster swinging. Excuse me, choking on air. He had big shoes to fill, having replaced Broxah, but he's lived up to expectations and completely surpassed them, if you ask me. I think this was actually one of the best pickups in off-season. The beginning of the season, off-season, not in between splits.
Yeah, Selfmade was definitely, after that year with SK, I knew that he was going to get into one of the big teams.
It's just a matter of which one, and Fnatic suits his playstyle well. Especially being with someone as skilled as, well, I don't think I can say this without, again, being hung, drawn, and quartered, but with a player as skilled as Nemesis. Nemesis is a big catalyst for what Fnatic want to do. He plays roaming mid laners, he plays mid laners that rely on getting people ahead, and who do we know on Fnatic that once they're ahead absolutely dominates games?
Right.
Martin Reckless Larson himself. Nemesis is a very self-sufficient mid laner. He can do very well. He has got games where he has just outright carried, but the pick he's known for, if I'm not mistaken, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but the pick he is known for is the Twisted Fate. And Twisted Fate's biggest strength, bar none, is roaming.
Yeah, Nemesis is really good of a roaming mid laner, and it just Selfmade and Nemesis fit into the team so well.
Yeah.
They fit each other so well because I think they are like best friends or something, if I'm correct.
And they haven't got the relationship that Kazi and Humanoid have. We'll say that.
They know each other very well.
Yeah. I do believe they were on a team together briefly.
I don't know, but they fit together like a puzzle, and they can just enable Reckless so well. And I think Reckless is having a really good season, except maybe the games that he doesn't really do well in. I think that's like the games where drafting has been very weird.
Yeah.
I think that's also a big part of why Fnatic isn't doing so well. They are very experimental at the moment with the drafts.
Absolutely.
And, like, trying weird things, and that has kind of been their downfall because it doesn't always work well. Like those Graves funnel games with Soraka AD carry.
Yeah.
That wasn't a good week at all for Fnatic, and you could have seen it on their faces. They weren't feeling good at all.
Yeah. So Nemesis and Selfmade, from October 2017 to December 2018, played for Mad Lions together.
Oh yeah, right. They played together on
Yeah.
the old map.
Yeah,
a lot of these players have been.
Yeah, but shepherding to Reckless, a well-seasoned veteran on the LEC scene. He has been here for.
He's like the face of the
Yes, he is the face of Fnatic, and he's only 24.
The poster boy.
He is only 20. If Fnatic get rid of Reckless, they get rid of their entire brand. I'm just gonna throw that out there now.
He's like their franchise player,
Like Han Sama was for Misfits.
the Uzi of RNG, the Score of TT Rollster, the Keen of Afrika Freak.
The Faker of T1.
Yeah, yeah, just like that. He's
The
just
Sneaky of Cloud9.
yeah, um, he's really good.
He's very
I haven't really
consistent.
watched a lot of Fnatic because I'm not the biggest fan.
Yeah, that's
But
fair enough.
you just know that he's
Well, yeah.
good and he's reliable.
You could not watch the LEC, but as soon as you hear the name Reckless, you know who they're talking about.
Yeah, he's such a big name.
One of the most consistent AD carries this league has ever seen, if not the most consistent, and I can't fault him.
Yeah, there are many pretty good AD carries, but I think like Reckless is still
If I'm being entirely honest, and I have said this before, I think the role we are most pressed for talent for is AD carry in EU.
yeah, AD carry has like lots of big
Yeah.
veteran names, and then you have like people like Carzy showing up with
Yeah.
the new teams. But
Now, we have spoken briefly about Hylissang. He is a very coin flip player, but he does the one job he has very well.
yeah,
He enables Reckless.
Hylissang, you can think whatever you want to think, but he's very coin flip. He's like, what? But he has, unlike Ripple, he is like more 50-50, I think.
Yeah.
Peak Hylissang shows up way more often, and when it's peak Hylissang, it's really fucking good.
Absolutely.
Peak Hylissang is the best support, but non-peak Hylissang.
It's the worst. Let's gonna be honest.
Yeah, it's then he dies, he gets caught. He's more like a Jack troll than.
So-
yeah, when he isn't showing up, Hylissang is just dying and getting caught. And
Yeah.
he still tries to do things, but it doesn't work. And Hippo and Hylissang can just lose Fnatic games, and it's very unfortunate.
So, Fnatic are 1-0 against XL, 0-1 against Shulker, 0-2 against G2, 0-2 against Mad, 2-0 against Misfits, 1-1 against Origin, 0-2 against Rogue, 1-0 against SK, 2-0 against Vitality. They play XL, Shulker, and SK this week.
Predictable because all of these teams have been showing up. Like on paper, it would be a 3-0, but it might as well be a 0-3.
Bear in mind that this is interesting because it means that we cannot. Oh no, never mind. So we cannot have a two-way tie. Yeah, we can't have a two-way tie for fifth. Period. Unless, because if G2 and SK, for argument's sake, if G2 and SK win all three of their games, we cannot have a tie.
Oh, pretty cool.
Anyway, the next team in the standings is a team very close to mine own heart. We are going on to the rabbits of the league, Misfits Gaming. Now, Misfits, for the past, well, I'm going to be entirely honest, for the past 3 years, they've not really shown up much. When they went to Worlds in 2017, made it to quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think actually semi-finals.
They almost got to the semi-finals. They didn't quite. They almost did.
Yeah, they lost to T1 in a very tight match.
They lost to SKT after having taken them to Game 3.
Game 5.
No, they took SKT to Game 3. SKT took them to Game 5.
Yeah, it was Misfits at Worlds.
Oh my god.
But they were like the first European team that I ever supported.
Yeah. But at the end of that season, Power of Evil and Ignar, two of the biggest and brightest stars of this team, had left. They now are both on FlyQuest in NA, and they're doing very well. I'm very happy for them. They actually are looking at going to Worlds this year. But in 2018 spring, they picked up Senkux and Mikyx and kept with them through the entirety of summer. They came 7th in spring, 5th in summer, so they made playoffs in summer. Came 4th in playoffs, going 3-1 to Vitality, who at the time were running Kabashard. Shit. Fuck, who was their jungler back then? Kabashard, Kikis, Jizuke, Attila, and Jack Troll. Back when Jack Troll was actually good. And then they ran the gauntlet. And lost out in the first round 3-2 to Splice. So they came in kicking and screaming into the LEC 2019 spring split with a absolute super team on paper of Soaz, Maxlaw, Febivan, Hansama, Gorilla. And they shit out big time. They came 8th in the spring regular season. So for summer, they bring on their 10-man roster. They bench Soaz, they bench Maxlaw, they bench Febivan. For a time, they bench Hansama, and they completely get rid of Gorilla. They bring on Dan, they bring on Kirei, they bring on Leader, they bring on Neon, and they bring on Hiva. And that roster went very well. Granted, it could not salvage what the super team had already done. They ended the run 6-12 and came 9th in the spring. So, coming into 2020 season, there were big question mark things around Misfits. They had not succeeded since 2017. They dropped Soaz, who went to Immortals. They dropped Maxlaw, who is now on Monster Rugby Gaming. Kiro went back to the roster, the Academy roster. Leader has moved on to Mouse Esports. Hansama left to go to Rogue. Neon left for Shulker. Gorilla has gone back to Korea to join Dragon Zone.
He's in Sandbox Gaming now.
Oh yeah, he is, isn't he? Shit.
Yamato.
Yep, and Hiva, I don't know what Hiva's doing, but he's not playing for Misfits anymore.
He was substitute for Origin.
And then they dropped him.
But he left now.
Now, Misfits came into... So, they as I said earlier, they participated in NeoSurf with XL. They kept Dan, and they kept Febby. That's all they kept. They brought on Ronaldo, ex-Fnatic Rising support, to be the substitute mid laner. Right, stay with me.
Wait, what was support?
Yes, he was Fnatic Rising support.
Oh.
He used to be a mid laner, role swapped to support because it's what they needed, and then swapped back to mid when Misfits offered him the job. They also picked up 2 of Vodafone Giants from the Spanish Superliga, 2 of Vodafone Giants' best players, Razork and Denik, and they picked up Korean-born B-Boy.
Yeah.
Spring Split comes. They lost NeoSurf 3-2 to XL. Spring Split comes around and they go 10-8, making 5th in the regular season with Dan, Razork, Febby, B-Boy, and Denik. Ronaldo did not play a single game. They make playoffs and they come 6th in playoffs, only falling to Rogue 3-1. So coming into summer, as I said, as I have made a video on before, coming into summer, they had dropped B-Boy and picked up Kobe from TSM. And had moved DOS onto their main roster instead of Denik. And up until now, they had found relative success up until the past couple of weeks, where things have been very, very shaky. Which is why they sit so low down on the roster at the minute. On the standings at the minute. So this week, they put Denik back in and went 1-1. I think they're keeping him for the Super Week next week. We will find out. But the roster as it stands right now is Danny, Dan, Lecomte in top. Ivan, Razork, Martin. Fabian, Febiven, Diepstraten. Diepstraten.
Fabian Diepstraten.
Okay. Casper, Kobe, Kobarup is AD carry. Petter, Denik, Haramash, and Mads, Dosh, Schwartz as the supports. Now, I have a lot to say about this roster. Let's start with Dan. Dan is the man, as is often said. Or as I like to quote from Medic, casting last season, Dan's so good they had to name him twice.
Not twice, but overall I think he's a very top laner, but he's definitely not the best.
he is not the best. I will give you that. He is not the best. But he is consistent. He can play weak side. The amount of times he has turned a 2v1 dive into a double kill under his own turret level 3, I have lost count.
And he just, when he has to show up,
He does.
In the game against SK, he just does. And he takes over the game and he carries.
Dan
He
is...
can't do anything.
Dan is a very, very, very good player, and I think he has the potential to become a lot better than he is, and I think he will be with Misfits for a long time coming. He is the new poster boy of Misfits.
Yeah, I hope Misfits is looking pretty shaky right now, but I hope they don't just throw away their whole roster again to try again. Like, this roster has a potential to grow and stay together.
Absolutely.
They're still growing and getting used to each other. I think they should keep this and try again.
Absolutely. So Misfits have, as we've said, is known for throwing its rosters away. I think there's gonna be uproar if we throw this one away because Dan is so consistent and he's so strong. I think that losing him is losing a big piece in the plan for Misfits.
Yeah, I think just losing most of them would be
However,
very sad.
let's be honest here. Dan wouldn't be able to do much in lane if it wasn't for star jungler, rookie of the split, 2020 spring, Razork.
Man, oh my god, I love Razork so much. I'm a big fan of Razork, so I might be biased, but like in the spring, I didn't give a fuck about him. I didn't give a fuck about Misfits, but then I saw his Echo game, and I was like,
Yeah.
who the fuck is this guy? I love him.
Razork is known for very, very off-meta, out-of-left-field picks, such as the Echo, which he brought out against G2 in the middle of Spring Split, and absolutely trashed them.
Yeah, it was fucking insane.
I mean, turret dives top, mid, bot, and everywhere in between.
And then he did it again.
And he did it again versus Mad in summer on the Fiddlesticks.
Oh my god, best game ever. I just really love watching Fiddlesticks, so Razork picking him up,
Yeah.
I was so excited.
I think Razork is a very, very strong player. He has a lot of potential, though I do have one criticism for the poor bastard. Razork is not truly unlocked unless paired with good old son Denik.
Yeah.
Denik
Also,
is a big catalyst for Razork, I think.
he gives him lots of confidence and helps him out.
Well, that was evident in the SK game. I mean, you just saw how much more confident Razork was looking.
Yeah. I think that is like a problem for Razork.
Absolutely.
He needs to learn how to grow without Denik. Like, he has to be. His games with Boss weren't as good.
But you've also got to think about it. If you're switching from a support who can roam with you to a support who wants to just sit bot lane and do nothing, it's a big change. Yeah. It's not easy to adapt to.
He can't just stay with Denik all his career.
Well, no, of course not. But I do think that a lot of the supports he could be paired with are roaming supports.
Yeah, but like, I just hope that he can grow without Denik.
Absolutely.
And also, one other point for Razork that I have criticism.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a really bad sentence. But he's like, when he gets behind,
he's not coming back.
He's kind of like Smithy in NA. Like, when they get behind, they die a lot.
Yeah.
He just begins to tilt, and he begins to put plays that don't have to be done.
Exactly. He starts to try and force things that don't work.
Yeah, like the one Charvan game in the beginning of summer. Oh my god, what was that? He flashed and bolted, and then he just died, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
So.
But like, he is a tilter, and that is a problem. As jungler, you can't. You can't really be a tilter in general, but he's very young, so I hope he can improve on that.
I just noticed something. So before I even start talking about Febby, everybody's contract is due to end on the 15th of November 2021, except one person, Dan, whose contract is due to end on the 16th of November this year.
That's probably because Dan was one of the earlier ones.
Yeah, he didn't. Well, no, it's because his contract is still going from last year.
Yeah, that's the thing. But if the others stay, I do feel like Dan might extend his contract, or they might get another.
Yeah.
But I think that's
If they get another top laner, there's gonna be outcry. But Featherman.
maybe it's Alfari, but
Yeah, I don't think Alfari will come back though.
Dan is a poster boy. They can't just get rid of him, and he's a misfit.
I don't know. If they could get, if it was Alfari, because Alfari's been in the team before, Alfari could easily take over as poster boy.
Oh, Alfari is definitely poster boy.
Featherman, however, ain't off topic. Febby really didn't show up much last season. I think
No.
the time he spent in NA on CG really kind of fucked with him a bit.
Yeah,
So-
he's not like in his old form.
No.
When he came back, especially last year, just wasn't doing too well. But I feel like
This year,
he's coming back.
he stepped up. We are seeing 2015 Featherman when he was on Fnatic, making the plays left, right, and center, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see him again. I'm not the biggest fan of Fnatic as a person, but just
No, you're not the first person to say that though.
like just seeing him return to his old form.
It's nice.
He's so flashy. He is so. Sometimes he does make mistakes.
Absolutely.
He's very good. It's just nice. I'm like the kind of person who likes to see veterans come back and just show the rookie to his boss. I like rookies, but like I'm always more for the veterans. So
Yeah.
it's very nice to see Febiven and Kobe as well show up again, accompanied by these rookies like Razork. Yeah, I don't know if Dan is still a rookie, but like he's still very. He's a young player still.
Absolutely. Featherman is very consistent. Featherman is very strong, but I don't think he can match up to Kobe. Kobe, since joining this team at the beginning of summer, has been the most consistent player they have. Never looking bad in losses, always looking amazing in wins. He is possibly one of the best, if not the best AD carry, which is it's a long shot, but if not the best AD carry the LEC has right now.
Yeah, Kobe. Well, when he joined, I wasn't really the most enthusiastic about it because Misfits was his very early game. Yeah, they were very early game, and B-Boy was very flashy and aggressive kind of. But
Yeah, he knew how to handle himself.
Kobe has this next spirit. Kobe is like the late game scaler, and I was like, how is he going to fit together with such an early game powerhouse?
See,
like Razork?
You say that, but bear in mind the champion he's known for is his Lucian.
Really?
Yeah, that's whenever I think Kobe, I think Lucian, and Lucian's early game entirely.
Yeah, but like I think it's also because of the meta. Because when he was on Splice, it was always like sleep, sleep, sleep until
Yeah.
35.
Favorite champions, the only one listed on his Leaguepedia page or Gamepedia page is Lucian.
But he has really proven me wrong. He has shown that he really fits into this roster, and he has improved the roster, and they're just doing so great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like not always, but when they win games, they're really showing that they're
Being the most consistent player on a consistent roster just shows that you are that a big part of that team.
yeah.
Now Danik.
Then
We haven't seen much of Danik this split. I don't think there's much to say on him. He looked very good in his games this weekend.
I'm just glad that he's back because I feel like that Boss might be a better fit for Kobe,
But
but
Danik is a better
Kobe,
fit for the team.
Kobe can just stay by himself. He is very self-sufficient. And
We
Danik,
saw this week that Kobe is very capable of playing with Danik, and it works. It bloody works.
Danik is just like, he's the type, he fits in the team better. He enables Razork, he enables Dam, he enables Fabiven. It's just, he's like a much better fit when it comes to
Absolutely.
playstyle than DOS. And I am very glad that he's back, and I do think that they should have brought him back earlier, because maybe then they could have been
Yeah.
higher up in the standings.
Absolutely. However, I do think that this split and all of the problems with it are mainly drafting based. So, the coaches of Alejandro Yandro Fernandez Valdez and Maurice Amazing Stuckenschneider really need to step it up.
Yeah,
They
I have never really been a fan of Amazing, to be honest.
Amazing was a good player. I don't think he's transitioned into being a coach well.
Yeah, it's really obvious that like the drafting is like Misfits weak point, and they aren't the only team. Like
Yeah,
the drafting has been very weird. They have put together inconsistent teams.
yeah,
Sometimes they do really good things, but that's mainly like decisions from players. Like the one time the one Fiddlesticks game, that was a really good comp to enable the Fiddlesticks, but I think that was like Razork's idea or something.
yeah.
But yeah, they overall, unless they do like one of Razork's surprise parties, they don't really have good drafts. That's what will make them lose
Yeah.
games, because they just can't execute.
So, Misfits are 1-1 XL, 1-1 Shulker, 0-2 Fnatic, 0-1 G2, 1-0 Mad, 1-1 Origin, 0-2 Rogue, 1-1 SK, and 1-0 Vitality. They play G2 Mad Vitality this week. So, it's a shaky week.
It's shaky, but they can't get some wins, but they have a very low chance of getting into playoffs, sadly, because of what's going on right now.
Absolutely.
It's just because of the head-to-head, I think. And it's a shame, because they can be a very good team. And I just hope that even if they don't get into playoffs, that they keep this roster to grow, that they can show up again in spring 2021.
Yeah. So, now we move on to
Boys,
Origin.
yeah.
Origin, at the start of the season, dropped Mithy, Patrick, and Cold in favour of Xerxes, Upset, and Destiny, and have more recently picked up Jack Troll. So currently, their roster stands as Barney, Alfari, Morris, Andre, Xerxes, Dragomir, Erland,
Ed-
Erland, Viltevik, Erland, Viltevik, Nuke Duck Holm, I think, Elias, Upset, Lip, Mitchell, Destiny Shaw, and Jacob, Jack Troll,
Skurzinski.
Skrzinski, yeah, is the best I could go. So starting with Alfari, Alfari has always been a very consistent player. Alfari has always been a very good top laner. Alfari is by far the strongest player on this roster. In fact, the best top laner in LEC right now.
Yeah. I might be biased because he's like my favorite player.
Absolutely, there is nobody like he is most definitely the
Favorite.
he
He's
is
very reliable.
yes.
He's very consistent. He can carry games. Then the matchup should lose. Like Malphite with the cannon. And like just he's so good.
I thought you said Kennen wins into Malphite. It does, but you just beat you just beat a Kennen as Malphite. Yes. So who wins the matchup? Me.
Yeah. He was that Malphite game was so weird. Like how can you carry as a Malphite?
Absolutely.
win trophies, but sadly, he never has a team behind him.
But this
Like
year,
on paper, this team should be super good, filled with veterans who have performed really good before. But I feel like most of the veterans, except for Alfari, are losing their spark.
I
And there are
think
also drafting issues.
this year especially, Alfari has shown his worth, and I think he will be picked up by a team who intends to go far next year. I think if G2 are going to replace Wonder with anybody, it'll be Alfari.
Or like maybe a team like Mad Lions or Rogue maybe, because Orome and Finn aren't like they are good, but like
They're
no
not
one
Alfari good.
just Alfari, and I
Yeah.
think like his contract ends, and I do have a feeling that it's pretty tired of Origin and
Yeah.
the Elo hell basically. Um, I do feel like every team
And
is going to just fight for him.
actually, Rogue would be in a very good position to pick him up because who else have they got?
Summer.
Yeah.
An old misfit.
Another Misfits pair, just like fucking PoE and Ignar. Now, if we can get the whole group back together and bring them back onto Misfits, we're golden. Xerxes. Xerxes is a very aggressive jungler. He's a very smart jungler. He's a very mechanically gifted player. I don't think there is much more to say about him, to be fair. That sums him up pretty well.
Yeah, but Summer hasn't been the best fit for Xerxes
No.
at all.
Not at all, but he's still playing well.
I think it's mainly drafting issues that has caused Cersei to not be the best.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He doesn't get his champions.
Yeah.
Like, Spring Origin was innovative. Cersei was like the first and the best set jungle. He brought it into the LEC, and he was also like the best card. And now, I don't know what they're doing, but they just have no grasp on the meta. And
Yeah.
that is causing Cersei and Upset to underperform.
I do stand corrected. Misfits Mad is on Friday. It is game 4. It is not on Sunday, sadly, as much as I would like it to be on the Sunday.
If it was on Sunday to just have another one of those surprising things, maybe.
Match of the week is by far going to be Mad Rogue on Saturday even.
For sure.
However, Misfits also play G2 on Saturday, so their two hardest matchups are first 2 days, and then they get to lie back against Vitality.
That is not good because Misfits, if they lose hard against Mad Lions,
They're gonna int into G2.
they might be tilted.
Yeah. Anyway, Nuke Duck, the man with the ocean.
Yeah, but the ocean is slowly drying up.
Yeah, there is a drought. There is a drought, and the ocean cannot keep up.
In the Origin fandom, there are many people who are calling to bench Nuke or get rid of him, which is very sad because he used to be such a good player and such a like his champion pool was so big, but like I don't know what has happened to him, but he's just not showing.
I'm not sure what happened to Nuke Duck, and I don't wish to speak out of turn. However, I do believe that he is struggling too much to just be left.
I believe that he can still show up, but like it just isn't happening at the moment. And maybe there are some internal issues in Oregon. I feel like it's like an issue of that's of creative power. Like these players are all good, except maybe Jack.
Yeah,
but, like,
absolutely.
I feel like there are like issues maybe between them or in the staff or like just general in the team, and it's not like it's influencing their individual skill. Like last year, in summer, they really didn't do well either. But there was a big issue going on with cold at the time, and I believe it was mental problems. Motivation, and that influenced the whole team, and I'm afraid that something like that might be happening again.
Yeah, possibly. But then, even where Nuke Duck falls, Upset rises. Upset is as consistent as ever, as much as I don't like him because he's a picky cunt.
He's not that bad.
He did. They literally couldn't hire Denick because he refused to play with him.
Okay, upset. No, bye. But at least, wait. If they hired Hennig, what Razor can team before?
They would have been split up.
Oh,
Yeah, Misfits would not have found the success they did in spring.
Alfari with Razor, that would be like heaven for me.
It's-
My two favorites.
Upset. As much as I give him slack, as much as I give him crap, I need to cut him some slack because he is a damn good AD carry, mechanically speaking. I don't know. I think he's in a similar position. He's in a similar position to Nuke Duck for me. Really not able to step up when he's needed. Like, if you can't step up when you're an AD carry as skilled as Upset, you really don't have much going for you at all. Like, you're not gonna win your games because you can't step up. You kind of run into a wall at that point.
Just, I lost you completely until you said you can't step up. I
Wait.
missed everything. You just went silent.
Yeah, Upset is in a similar position to Nuke Duck for me, where he just can't step up where he's needed.
Yeah, he
Oh,
good things. He has like more good games than Yutek, I think, but he's also not how he. And I don't know what the issue is, but
It's there.
He sometimes those games. I also think that a big part of it is our problem with support.
Destiny. Let's move on.
Destiny, Mitch. Yeah, I always call him Mitch or Mitchell. So I'm sorry if I call him.
Be my guest.
But I love him. He's like just as a person, he's so great.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He's super nice.
And he finally got his big break coming over from OCE. And to me, he stepped up. He showed that he can step up. Yeah, he's had a few int games here and there, and he was seen as the weak link on this roster. I think it's finally come out that he is not the weak link on this roster.
Well, Mitch is he has come from Australia, and that is just it's a big step for him. He was probably very nervous.
Absolutely.
It's his first split in a big league.
Second
that's
split in a
very-
big league.
Yeah, first season.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's like, it was just such a big step, and like, he has potential. But he's still showing like rookie mistake. Yeah, not really rookie, but like just first season in big league
Yeah.
mistakes.
Like Razork did at the start of this split and the start of last split.
Yeah, he has potential to grow, and I think he definitely can be good support.
Absolutely.
Like he has shown really good things, like that one, like flashy things too. Like the one time he killed Selfmade under the tower, just with pure mechanical
Yeah.
trash skills, and also the one when he turned the 2v2 around with the
Yeah.
Lulu. He can do shit, but Origin takes it for granted.
Absolutely. Which moves us on to Jack Troll, who I believe was the source of a lot of Vitality's problems, and he really hasn't proven me any different.
Yeah, Vitality's problem, many believed that it was Moby, but I think it was a bot lane.
I think it was Jack Troll.
Attila and Jacktroll,
Mm.
especially Jacktroll,
Attila was a damn good AD carry, and I will stand by that, and if he was with a decent support, he could have done great things.
Attila, he was like, he only popped off when he was angry.
He was angry. He popped off, taking the Draven from Hansama, and that is enough for me.
But, yeah, I was a fan of Vitality for Moby last year, and I never really liked the bot lane. I'm very sorry. I feel very weird saying this as Origin fan, but this is not my Origin. Jacktroll is just not good.
No.
He's not LEC level. He shouldn't be here. he just goes in.
But I guess he has value. I can't see where his value comes from, but he has it somewhere, otherwise they wouldn't have picked him up.
Like sometimes he can pop off. Like he used to play Fiddlestick support, the old Fiddlesticks.
Yeah.
Always very good, but he's kind of like the Hylissang, but where he just
Doesn't pop off
maybe
as much.
more like Whippo. Like the highs just aren't frequent enough for it to
Yeah.
be valuable.
I understand that entirely.
He just goes in 1v3 against the Sona who can heal. Like it feels like he doesn't have enough knowledge
Yeah.
to actually be in LEC.
So-
And it's very sad. I do think that Mitchell deserves to be back, and that Origin wouldn't have had this losing streak maybe if it was Mitchell.
Yeah. So Origin are 1-0 against Excel, 1-1 against Schalke, 1-1 against Fnatic, 2-0 against G2, 0-2 against Mad, 1-1 against Misfits, 0-1 against Rogue, 0-1 against SK, and 0-2 against Vitality. So they play Excel, Rogue, and SK.
That I do think that Origin still have a chance of making it, but they just can't
It's
play
slim.
like these last 2 weeks. Like
Yeah.
they have to bring Mitch back in the roster because like the 2 wins they had with Checkroll was when he did nothing, and when the enemy team ran it down. But like they need, I think they need Mitchell. I might be biased because I love Mitchell, but they can make it
Yeah.
if they show up. But first they have to show up,
Hmm.
and they haven't done that lately.
Exactly.
And I also think a big issue was last week they weren't able to really practice because Alfari was sick, so they didn't really have a practice. But now they have to start. I think the first thing they have to do is get better drafts and get a better grasp on the meta.
Yeah.
I feel like Origin is just behind on the meta, and that is a big problem because if you draft a bad comp, even if you play well like Alfari, you can't win.
Yeah. Right.
They have the potential to do it.
They do. It's just a matter of whether they do or not.
Then why are they not doing?
However, we should probably move on to Vitality. We spent a long time on Origin. Vitality, for the past couple of years, haven't been doing great. Last year was a very bad year for them, if you ask me. They came 5th in spring, 5th to 6th in playoffs, 6th in summer, 5th to 6th in summer, and last in spring this year with the comp. Well, last year they had Cabo, Mowgli, Jizuke, Attila, Jack Troll. This year they had Cabo, Skeens, Seiken, Selfie, Comp, Jack Troll, and Steelback. Although I'm rather surprised because Selfie was taken on, contracted until the 23rd of March. That was updated to the 29th of March, and it was never redone, which sucks. But after a pretty crap year, Attila leaves to go to Vodafone Giants in the Superliga.
Good riddance. See ya, bitch. I'm sorry.
Jizuke leaves to go to Evil Geniuses over in the LCS. Cabo stays, Jack Troll stays. And apparently,
He's still on contract, I think.
Mowgli is not listed on the roster, but still contracted under the GCD.
He still gets paid by Vitality. I don't know where he is, and I miss him.
Don't know. But
Join.
Vitality did pick up a whole new look with Lucas Cabochard, Simon Meslet, Cantorsna Ng Duncan Skeens Marque. Oh fucking hell. Aljosa Milisa Kovandzic, I think. Marcos Comp Stamkopoulos and Labos Labrov. Oh my god, his name is Labros Labrov Papoutsakis.
Yeah, the Greek guys. Yeah.
Shit! bed, boys! Right, so they've got 3 French players, 2 Greek players, and is that Croatia? Serbia. So Kabashard. Kabashard has always been a big, also a rock for this roster.
Poster boy.
Yeah, again, he's a poster boy, but he's a damn good player.
He's really a poster boy, but like he's just always been on vitality.
Cabo is a damn good player.
Yeah.
He is what has pulled this vitality roster through thick and thin.
He's just one of those big veterans that keeps playing consistently.
Yeah.
Despite what his team does.
Absolutely. And then of course I'm going to talk about Skeens because I don't see much of NG, but with Skeens as well, like I feel like he enables Cabo a lot because he is just everywhere.
Despite them being lost plays, I don't think Schemes was the best part of vitality.
I think the problem in spring was they didn't have their full roster and were forced to put Selfie in.
Yeah, they had to put Selfie in because Sakan was like playing too much and he still had to be able to play in the French league.
No, don't get me wrong. I love Selfie. Selfie was also with Misfits for a time, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know, but Selfie didn't really show up, but he was like.
Yeah, Selfie was with Misfits throughout 2016.
He had to come in last minute to because of Milica. Is it that? Yeah.
Milica.
Wait, Milica, whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it, but like he had visa issues for the.
Yeah, the visa just didn't go through because of COVID. But yeah, as much as I love Selfie and he was on Misfits for a time, he's not the greatest of players. I know Misha's gonna kill me for saying that.
Yeah, Misha's going to come at you.
Well. But Skeens. I think Skeens is a very good jungler. Not one of the best, not one of the worst. He's kind of middle of the pack.
Yeah, but he's decent. He's like
Yeah.
LEC level.
Melissa, however,
Oh, I'm surprised.
the carry of vitality.
Yeah, he's so good.
Melissa is pulling this comp through thick and thin alongside Comp and Labrov. Comp and Labrov are also 2 players who I think are good, but not best of their role.
Yeah, I feel like this vitality hasn't shown their full potential yet.
Yeah, I'm scared for next week.
More than this. Yeah, me too. But then sometimes we also just have games like Escape, like where they just don't
Yeah.
seem to. Okay. Yeah, it's just nothing seems to work.
But I genuinely think that's all we need to say about vitality, because the roster themselves are solid.
Very solid.
They, if I can find my camera's covering the X on the tab. There we go. They play, or they are currently 02 XL, 10 Shulker, 02 Fnatic, 11 G2, 11 Mad, 01 Misfits, 20 Origin, 01 Rogue, 11 SK. So they play Rogue, Misfits, and Shulker.
That is a dangerous week, I think.
It could be a dangerous week.
Very unpredictable. Schalke and
Yeah.
Misfits. Yeah, Schalke.
It's how do they play on the day? Schalke lose 1 game next week, I think they can do. If they lose more than 1, they're locked out of playoffs, I think.
Yeah, and even if they go 3-0, they still have they have 70% of making it, so it isn't really in their own hands.
They are still relying on other teams to lose, yeah. Anyway.
And
Schalke.
boy,
Schalke. 10th place team. Now then, if we look at the past, 2 years. So, Schalke joined the league in 2018, I think. With Smitty J, Memento, Cadril, mid. Cadril was mid? Come again?
yeah, I think he.
Upsetting nor scaring. You know what? Sure, let's go with that.
Yeah.
And Vander played AD and support.
Yeah, Vander likes.
Oh, fuck me. Okay, right, let's ignore we're gonna ignore 2018, it didn't happen.
Maybe he was bald.
We're gonna ignore 2018, it didn't happen. Well, we won't, because Vizicachi, my poor friend. But 2019 spring they came 7th with Odo, Memento, Abadage, upset Ignar. Summer they came 4th, and in playoffs they came 3rd. So this roster didn't do too bad. And in the regional finals they lost to Splice and didn't go to Worlds. Spring they have overhauled their roster. They lost Trick, they lost Upset, they lost Ignar. They kept Odo, who is by far the most consistent player on that roster. They have Gilius and Lurox for jungle, Abadage for mid, Forgiven and Inax swapping and changing for AD carry, and Dreams for support. Now, they came 8th in spring, and Forgiven's contract has since been terminated. So our current roster.
It was expected.
It was expected.
I was like, Forgiven, he's not going to last long if he doesn't show up.
He needed to change his attitude. I thought since he came out of the war he'd be a changed man. I was wrong. Anyway, roster as it stands for Schalke: Andre, Odoamne, Pasco, Erberk, Gilius, Demir, Lucas, Lurox, Toma, Felix, Abadage.
So many Germans.
Yeah. Felix, Abadage, Braun, Nihat, Inax, Aliev. I'm not even gonna try. That's in a different language entirely.
Whatever. Neon, pretty boy.
Yeah. Matus, Neon, Jakubczyk. And Min Cook, Dreams, Han. I'm being respectful. I'm saying the name as they would in Korea. Han
Min Cook.
Min Cook Han.
Yeah, Min Cook Han. Yeah, in Korea they say the last name.
Out of respect. Yeah, I did it with Trick earlier as well. And Risto, Nukes, Luri. So, as I said, Odoamne, by far the best player this roster has.
Yeah.
Consistent.
He's like the unsung hero.
Absolutely. Consistent, strong, plays the weak side, and still somehow comes back and helps carry these games.
Yeah. He's like, when he plays like Maokai and stuff, it's just like, he's just always there to annoy and distract, and even if he like dies 3 times or whatever, this is just an example.
Yeah.
He will still be reliable and help the others.
Absolutely.
He will just be a useless man. He's never useless.
Yeah, so Gilius and Lurox I'm going to lump together because they play very similarly, and they're both very, very good. Gilius has been a catalyst for all of the recent games. Lurox did very well in spring and has done pretty good in summer. Granted, they didn't win many games.
Yeah, like even when they were losing,
Lurox didn't look bad.
Schalke wasn't like really bad. It kind of reminds me of Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, the team isn't bad. They just cannot stand up to the talent of EU.
Now they have finally gotten the push they needed, and they are now standing up and on a massive win.
As any British person you would ask would say, they've had a firework shoved up their ass, lit it, and it's gone off finally.
Yeah, and also I think the new bot lane helps a lot.
I don't like Neon.
I do like Neon.
I don't. I think don't get me wrong. I think he's a good player, but he's literally, other than that, he's a pretty face. I mean, for fuck's sake, he was banned for toxicity during the off season.
Yeah, but who hasn't been banned?
Plenty of pro players.
Yeah,
Who,
despite that, I feel like
I still think Inax is the better of the two. I'm gonna kind of come back to Abadage. I think Inax is the better of the two.
I prefer Neon, but it's probably because I just like him. I remember last year when I was in Berlin and week 5 of the summer split, and it was like the first time the Misfits Premier roster played, and they first win, and we were like the first in line for their fan meet. And Neon was super friendly, and he was just like, he just seems like, I don't know, you can never judge because you will never know these pro players personally, but
Yeah.
like, he isn't that toxic in real life. And he is a good player, Neon is good, and Inax is also very good. Both of them are super strong.
Yeah, Inax, if I'm not mistaken, has a history. He was with Roccat for a while, or was it H2? It was Roccat because H2K was EQ. He was with Roccat, and then he moved to Unicorns, I think.
I haven't rocket. I don't see any rocket. He
I
was in
think.
Excel for like he was in Excel UK, like the former academy.
Oh no, I thought I got him mixed up with was it Betty? I think was already carry. He was in UOL. And UOL, he did well. He has the experience over Neon. I think he's just a better player in general. He's been around longer, and he's higher respected in the LEC.
Yeah, that's true. But like both of them could just be put in, and they would still win
Oh.
games.
Trivia for you: Forgiven's contract was not terminated. He is still contracted. They are still paying him.
Oh my god.
They don't have grounds to terminate the contract. Anyway,
Abadage.
yeah, Abadage. Abadage, I think, is kind of like the foundation of this team.
Yeah.
Abadage is the foundation, and Odoamne is the walls that are keeping it standing.
Abadage needs to show up.
If Abadage doesn't show up, then they lose the game.
Yeah. They fall apart.
Because Odo can't carry on his own.
And I think a big part of it why Schalke was so fast in spring was Abadage not showing up.
Yeah.
And then in the end, when they went offline,
Yeah.
when they went online, he lost all his like stage fright. Maybe I don't know if he has stage fright, but suddenly he started smurfing,
Yeah.
and Schalke started winning. And it's just, I wonder if now, if this split would have been played offline on stage,
Yeah.
Schalke would have shown up the same way.
Possibly. Anyway. Yeah, I think that's all we can say about Abadage. And then Dreams and Nukes. There isn't much to say. They're both playmaker supports. They both are trying to peel off their AD carries. They're very good at what they do.
Both of them are pretty underrated.
Yeah, absolutely.
People always overlook Dreams.
Oh yeah, Mean Cook is by far one of my favourite supports to watch.
He's very high risk, high reward.
Exactly. And that's what you want out of your support, is if he can make a risky play and it pays off, brilliant. If not, at least you tried.
Yeah.
But that brings us to one more thing to check, and that is Schalke's games and current standings. They are 0-2. Hang on. Where are they? There they are. They are 1-1 against Excel, 1-0 against Fnatic, 1-1 against G2, 0-1 against Mad, 1-1 against Misfits, 1-1 against Origin, 0-2 Rogue, 0-2 SK, 0-1 Vitality. They are to play Fnatic, Mad Lions, and Vitality. It is going to be a rough week.
Yeah, I don't think they will be able to make it because, like,
The dream's alive, that's what matters.
I think they have to, they have to get as many wins as possible. But
Yeah.
they have to face off against Mad Lions.
Absolutely.
Which is disadvantage. But like,
So-
who knows? Maybe Schalke will stop Mad Lions.
We'll find out.
They are having the biggest win streak at the moment.
Mm.
And I don't know who they beat during that win streak, except for Origin. But this is-
G2, Misfits, Fnatic, Origin.
I don't know where Schalke would be at right now. I don't know who they can beat and who they can't beat.
Nor honestly, nor do I. However, the standings as a whole. Let's move on to that. Before I talk about that, I want to talk about what I think. I think they're gonna have 8 teams go to playoffs and not 6.
Really, like in NA.
The reason I say that is because we aren't going to have a gauntlet this year.
Yeah. But like, if they made that change last minute, then it's going to be pretty wild.
Yeah, but because we aren't going to have a gauntlet, I think that's the reason why we're going to get that. However,
I do hope so, because then Misfits and Origin have more chance of getting in.
the state of the table right now is actually unexpected, with G2 not being first, Fnatic not being second, and Origin not being third. Misfits not being fourth, which was what we expected coming off the back of the spring split.
I did expect Mad Lions to be like fourth or third, maybe to be up there. But Mad Lions and Rogue have just exceeded.
Yeah, they have sped ahead.
And the rest is just fumbling. It's like a typical LEC summer split.
Absolutely. I mean, it's brilliant. I love it.
I don't really love it because it just causes me stress because Origin is losing and it's reminding me of last year where it ended up in my favorite player taking a break and possibly never returning.
Who?
Just,
Oh, cold.
it's stressful.
So,
it would be cool if I was just like an onlooker, like now as such an avid Origin fan and Misfits fan is just stressful.
who do you think is going to Worlds?
Mad Lions for sure. Rogue probably. G2 is probably going to show up somehow, like always. And the fourth spot is going to be very hard. It might be. If it could be SK, it could be Excel, it could be anyone. Like except maybe for Vitality or Schalke, like the ones that are really at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like anyone could still show up and snatch the fourth spot. But I do think that Matt, Rogue, and G2 will be the first three to go.
I'm gonna be honest. I think Mad and Rogue are gonna go. Misfits are gonna go.
Oh wow.
I'm making a bold statement here, but I have faith in Denick. I think Mad, Rogue, Misfits, and unironically, SK. I don't think Fnatic or Origin are gonna, or G2 or Origin are gonna make it.
But the thing is, Misfits has a very low chance to get into playoffs at the moment. I think it was like 16%.
Who are they playing? G2. If they beat G2, they drop down to 8-8, which puts them at 7-9. Which no.
Mad Lions.
They have a pretty decent way of doing it. If they win against Mad, that puts them up again, which puts them at 9-9. It puts 11-5. They're not going to drop, but they do go up. And then if they beat, who's last? Vitality? Yeah, they can come to a record of 9-9.
They can like still do it. Like at the moment.
Bear in mind, if you go 9-9, you are bare minimum for playoffs.
But like at the moment I do have more faith in Misfits of making it than Origin because Origin is just on this massive loss streak. They're really not feeling well, and it's just.
But bear in mind, Misfits and Origin could both go 3 wins this week, which puts them both at 9-9. That means that if it comes down to tiebreaker, guess who doesn't make it into playoffs?
Wait, what's the head-to-head?
The head-to-head is
1-1.
they are 1-1, but Misfits would not make it into playoffs.
Oh, because Origin won in the second.
They take the second half game as the head-to-head in anything less than a 3-way tie.
Oh, this is so stressful.
Yeah. But I do believe that Misfits, SK, Rogue, and Mad are going to go to Worlds. Now, talking of Worlds, there have been some slight changes, and anybody who's confused, there is a reason why I'm naming 4 teams and not 3. Due to the lack of MSI, Riot have announced that the LPL and the LEC are both getting 4 spots for Worlds, whereas NA and the LCS and the LCK will get 3.
Very disappointing for me because I'm an LCK fan. I feel like LCK also deserves support.
LCK have not been performing the past few years, and that's why, whereas LEC and LPL have.
Yeah, just LEC happens to be in the finals. Like,
So does the LPL.
I feel like, but LPL has been the overpowering region, but I feel like LCK is slowly climbing back up.
I think LCK still play too streamlined. Personally, I don't think they can match some of the teams that come out. They play slow. They play too slow for the meta.
I don't know, they're not always that slow anymore.
Anyway.
After Kings won a game in less than 17 minutes.
Anyway.
Yeah, Solay one just flopped down, but like they have the record of fastest game of
Yeah.
the season in major league.
But Worlds is to be held in Shanghai exclusively this year. They have moved the China tour to next year, and they have pushed the NA Worlds back to 2022. But I think that's about everything I need to say. We've covered every team, every player. I'm happy with how this has gone.
Me too. How do you think LEC is going to do internationally this year?
Depends who goes, but I think we can do very well. I think we have a shot at actually winning Worlds for once.
I actually think we don't have a shot.
No?
Like, even Mad Lions and Rogue are showing weak points. There's not like, we don't have like that overpowering...
I'm not saying we don't have weaknesses.
The overpowering G2 is gone. And in LCK, LPL and LCK, they have like some teams to really watch. Like LCK has Dragon X and Damwon, who are very strong at the moment.
Yeah.
Like Grim's Damwon is finally coming to the stage. It's fucking insane, and Dragon X is like, they have Deft and Chovy and just very promising players. And LPL is just still looking very overpowering. And I don't think LEC is going to make it into the finals, except if Mad Lions suddenly show up.
I think I'm not gonna lose hope.
I think if there is going to be one team that shows up at Worlds, it's going to be Mad Lions.
See, I don't. I think the pressure will get to them.
Yeah, they might. Then they might find a fumble as rookies, but who knows?
I don't know. They could pull a Misfits on us.
World is going to be very unpredictable, I think.
Entirely. But thank you for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. It was very nice.
It's been interesting. It's been nice to be able to just discuss the league state as a whole.
It's very wild at the moment.
Absolutely. But as for future plans, I'm going to start doing VOD reviews. I have recently announced that I am doing freelance coaching while I am still looking for a position with the team, or until Kahaku require my aid desperately. I will link the tweet that I put out in the description. Anybody who wishes to get in contact with me, I will also leave my email down there, or you can DM me on Twitter. Yeah, other than that, unless there's anything else you wanted to say on the LEC or anything.
Like my fan art. I make fan art.
I will link Sien's Twitter. I will link Sien's Twitter in the description. Very good artist, I have to say. If I can manage to pull one of the images off Twitter, I'll throw it in next to me face somewhere.
Okay, thank you.
Most welcome.
Lots of them.
There is a lot. I will choose a Misfits one just because I'm a Misfits fan. I know which one I want to choose.
It's mainly Razor.
I know which one I want to choose. It was the one where Febby's his earring too hard.
Yes.
The one with everybody but Febby. Anyway, yeah. So content, it might slow down for a bit while I'm still looking for a place for the team, but I will be doing VOD reviews of pro games if I feel necessary. If not, I'll be doing solo queue games. I will be recording some of the sessions that I do for coaching if the client does so allow it. Other than that, you know the drill with YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Comment. Tell me what you want to see aside from VOD reviews, because I would like to do some more educational stuff, or talk some more about the LEC. Is there a team you want me to focus on more? Should I go in detail about the history of a certain player, maybe a certain organization? But yeah, other than that, thank you all for watching, and I shall see you in the near future. Bye bye.